In 2010, an Oxford Journal article was published regarding the WMAF, or the white male-Asian female pairing. This article examined how priming, exposure, social messaging and repetition of white men being shown with Asian women had an influence on the subsequent generations when it came to dating. The article looked at how overrepresenting white men with Asian women, whom only made up a fraction of the population in the Anglosphere, set certain expectations and values when it came to dating. This article often gets mentioned a lot in the back-and-forth discourse on TikTok or other social media platforms whenever there's an interracial pairing. Most people who cite this article don't actually understand what it was about or what was being said. A lot of people in the incel space often disregard media and social representation entirely. The main reason as to why incels disregard this is because they don't like surrendering one of their biggest copes, which is that white men genetically attract Asian women due to genetic determinism and base-root biological impulses. Incels don't want to admit that the asymmetry in how white men have worshipped, pedestaled, and chased Asian women with high effort, while casting hatred and demeaning representation at Asian men, have played a strong role in the WMAF trend that was observed. Incels have shown to be very illogical, contradictory, and fragile when it comes to studying reality and having to admit certain truths. That being said, to indulge an incel, let's disregard all sociological and psychological factors, and let's assume that incels are correct in their beliefs regarding white supremacy and genetics, and let's look at another article that references the Oxford study. Just recently at the time of this video, only about 2 months ago, on April 10, 2024, an article was written that mentioned the Oxford study. This article supports and corroborates one of the points that I've already demonstrated empirically, which is that, when we look at interracial relationships, the WMAF has actually declined over the years, thus, signaling the weakening of white men when it comes to dating. This also is further corroborated at how men who travel to Asia have reported that they suffer from greater issues of hypergamy. The article says, ironically enough, despite the visibility of Asian women in interracial relationships, data shows that intermarriage rates among Asians are actually declining, making them the only racial group where this trend is observed. Do you know what that means? That means that Asian women are marrying out less than they used to. Why is that? If white men carry the best genes and everything works along a base root mechanism where once an Asian woman sees a white man, she biologically is destined to be with him, why would this trend decline? How is that biologically possible? Well, it's possible because biology and genetics don't actually work the way incels claim. Otherwise, if incels were correct, they'd need data to support that the intermarriage rates for Asian women at the very least remained constant. However, they didn't to begin with and they certainly don't today. This all signals the weakening of white men. If white men were as strong as incels claim, then by incel logic, white men should command the same rate and Asian women should marry out at the same rate. However, this is not the reality. What's even doubly concerning for the argument and the copes of incels, is that the article hits on another point. Notice how the Asians are the only racial group where a declining trend is being seen with intermarriage. That means that the white race is increasingly marrying out, and we all know why. It's because white women continue to marry out more than ever, and alt-right men and conservatives talk about this truth themselves. Brutal.